Hey everyone, this is Chris from the BAT team, and I'm with
Jennie. Hey everyone.
We're going to be talking about our experience at Futurist. Futurist was a blockchain conference that took place about 2 weeks ago in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, that we attended as representatives for BAT and Brave. And we're just going to chat about our experiences there, about the booth, some of the people who came up to the booth, the excitement people had for BAT and Brave, and some of the things that we did there. So, Jennie, where exactly was Futurist held in Toronto?
Yeah, so the conference took place at this venue called Rebel, which is actually Toronto's largest nightclub, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a huge kind of club-like venue, and it's attached to this other outdoor portion called Cabana. And so the outdoor portion was used for like networking and a VIP area, and then the inside was where like all the different booths were positioned, and there was a main stage, there was an upper level. It was a really cool setup, and Brave had a booth on the main floor, which was really nice.
Yeah, that's really interesting that it was held in a nightclub. Nightclubs are pretty funny when you get to see them in the daytime, because usually at night the darkness kind of masks all the shenanigans that have gone on in the night before. But because we were there during the daytime, you could actually see splashes of maybe Coke cans or something, and all the excitement that normally goes on there at night. So it was actually a cool perspective to see a nightclub during the day.
Yeah, there was evidence of people having made it rain, you could say.
Exactly. And so that was definitely a funny part of it. And, my friends and I have been to Toronto, and they've gone to shows at Rebel. There's a lot of big artists that have played there. I think Jennie's seen some, like...
Yeah, I saw Macklemore there years ago.
Yeah, so it was just really cool to go to a nightclub, I guess, for a conference. But the way that they set it up was very beautiful, actually. And the main stage was humongous, and it looked very techy. It looked great. And I think Untraceable, they were the company that organized the event, did a really great job, basically repurposing a nightclub for the purposes of a blockchain conference. So at the conference, we were sponsors. BAT and Brave were sponsors of Untraceable's Futurist conference. So what sponsorship did we have exactly, Jennie?
Yeah, so Brave was actually a gold sponsor. And so that got us a lot of cool benefits. And one of those things was a speaking opportunity. So we had like a 15-minute presentation on the main stage. Christopher participated in that, so he'll tell you guys a little bit about that later, but it went really well. It went swimmingly. He got a lot of applause from the crowd, and we're just very pleased with the way it turned out. We also had on-site branding. So we had complete immersive branding on stage during Chris's panel, which was awesome. We had our logo displayed on LED screens surrounding the entire interior of the main stage. We had our logo on all of the volunteer shirts for the event. We also got online branding. So we had our logo included on pre and post event email blast newsletters. We were featured in the mobile app, and we were given some conference passes for staff to attend and populate the booth. So let's chat a little bit about who came with us to the conference, Chris.
Well, I mean, first of all, needless to say, BAT and Brave was everywhere. So as you can probably tell, it was really cool to see the Brave lion everywhere, and it was really noticeable. A lot of people were super excited to see us there. There were a lot of Brave fans and a lot of Brave users. What was crazy is that when I walked by some of the other booths, I actually noticed that a lot of their demo computers were actually using Brave. So that was cool. There were a lot of fans there. But in any case, who was there? Well, I was there. Jennie was there. We had our global events coordinator, Shazmeen. We had one of our Android developers, I think Deep. And we had Aubrey there. He works on a lot of the back-end systems. He's a genius.
Aubrey's awesome.
Yeah, we had Clayton there. He's doing ad sales for us now. So he was, talking to all the advertisers who were interested. And we also had, we met up with some of the folks at Brave who actually are from Toronto. They weren't necessarily at the conference, but we got to meet up with them for dinner. So that was really cool to, see your coworkers, see your teammates. It's always fun.
Yeah, and it's really fun, especially because a lot of us work remotely. So every time that we can get together and just hang out, it's a rare occurrence, and it's always a good time. So it was nice to connect with the team in that way. And we also had one of our BAT regional leaders attend the team dinner, Mark from Toronto. Shout out to you.
Yes, Mark has been doing awesome work for our regional leader program, where he basically holds meetups in the Toronto area for fans and people who want to learn about, how they can monetize as creators, so on and so forth. I think they tend to buy pizza or something for people who attend.
Yeah. And quick plug here for anyone who'd like to get involved as a regional leader, head over to batcommunity.org and check out our forum. There's a post link there where you can leave your name and sign up to become a regional leader.
Yep.
So please do that if you're interested in hosting meetups in your city or town.
So the booth, we had a bunch of people there. What was the booth like?
Yeah, so like I said, we had a gold sponsorship. So that afforded us a booth on the main level, the main floor of the conference. And we were very lucky. Our booth was kind of along the windows, so it was really well lit. It being a nightclub, the lighting in there was not great throughout the venue. I mean, it was really cool and it looked very futuristic and spaceshipy in there, but it was rather dark. So where our booth was right by the window, was really nice. It drew in a lot of light, and I think it just attracted a lot of guests.
Yeah, it was a really awesome location. We were very lucky to have that. And also, we made our booth pretty attractive. It had a really nice banner. We had a giant sign that basically had the Brave and Bat logo on it so people could see it from afar. And we made sure to put it in a way where the logo was in the line of sight, basically for everyone in the venue. So, they would always be able to see our logo and come over and realize that we were there. So, it was kind of strategic. But another thing that was somewhat strategic was that we had a lot of attractive, fun things on our booth, like merch. We were giving away a lot of merch. Jenny, do you want to talk about some of the merch we had going on?
Yeah, so we spruced up our booth with a lot of fun merch. Some of the things we gave out were webcam covers, the ones to just hide your camera from creepers who might be watching you. Just kidding. But Chris actually designed the packaging that went along with those webcam covers. It was really beautiful. It was like a 4x6 postcard, and you got to design the logo and the placement and add some little stats and information about Bat and Brave. That was really cool, and people really liked that. They were drawn to it. And we also had t-shirts, and we brought our favorite two designs. So we brought the vintage Bat logo tee and the gray Brave Lion tee, both available on our web store, by the way, store.brave.com, another plug. But yeah, you can get those if you missed the conference and you weren't able to snag one for free. We also gave out Bat and Brave stickers, of course. Stick them on your laptop, stick them on your face, stick them wherever.
Yeah, and we also gave out free Bat tokens.
Bat codes.
So we had restoration codes that you could restore a wallet in your browser. And we loaded it up with, I think, something like 20 Bat, maybe even more. But yeah, something like that, just so users could get started and trial the tipping without having to fund it themselves or have to earn first through viewing ads. So that was a really effective thing, and people were super happy to get it. What I really liked, though, was the people coming up to the booth thinking that the webcam cover was a hardware wallet that we were giving away. And people who didn't know what Bat and Brave were thought that we were just like another hardware wallet company or something. There were a lot of wallet companies there. But then we got to give them the actual pitch about what Bat and Brave was, and they were astounded, essentially. So that was a really awesome part of it.
But with that being said, I would say the majority of people that stopped by our booth, between 60 and 75% of people were already familiar with Brave, and a good chunk of those were already Brave users. So I think that's saying something positive about our reach.
Yeah, definitely. And something that people told us was that, in the crypto space, there are a lot of projects that are kind of vaporware or they're not really real projects. Or, development kind of tapers off mysteriously, or they're exit scams or something like that. So people were super happy to see Bat and Brave there, because to them, we're one of the few projects that are actually real and are, have a product that you could actually use and are continuing to develop, and we're legit as they come. So they absolutely loved it. And what was also cool was that a bunch of the people who came up to the booth actually found out about the conference overall, the Futurist conference, through Brave ads. So our ads are actually working. So do you want to talk a little bit about how we ran ads for Futurist?
We actually ran ads for the Futurist conference in the Brave Ads platform, which was really, really cool. Futurist offered a special 50% off coupon code for users of the Brave browser. So anyone who had opted into ads between end of July and mid-August may have seen ads for the Futurist conference. It ended up being a really effective campaign because Brave's demographic is kind of perfect for a conference like this. I mean, it's a blockchain conference, a crypto conference, and the majority of Brave's users at this point in time are crypto savvy, interested in blockchain, interested in Web3, that kind of thing. And so, we just hit our targets and we ended up generating a ton of conversions for them. And we had a number of people, as Chris mentioned, come up to us at the Brave booth at the event and talk about how they heard about the event through our ads and they got 50% off their tickets. So we are very happy about how that turned out. And Mayar, the organizer of Futurist, was very pleased about that too. He came up and thanked us personally.
Yeah, so I mean, that's like, if you wanted a case study for absolute success for, Brave ads, there's one of them, and there's countless other advertisers who are so happy with the platform right now. And it was just really cool to see it working up close and personal, essentially, because we were there. And that was, just really awesome. So yeah, and, while I was there too, a bunch of people actually came up and asked the team for interviews, and I did a few of them. I did some with Crypto Wendy, I believe.
Yes.
And 3 or 4, maybe 5 other channels. I did one with Crypto Live Leak, and they were really awesome. I just was so impressed by how organized and thorough the interviewer was. You could probably find the interview on YouTube, actually. But they had notes, and the interviewer always knew what he was going to ask before he asked it. It really wasn't like on the spot, but he made it seem very genuine, impromptu, and spontaneous. So I was just really impressed by that. I guess some people just have a lot of interviewing skill.
That's great. I didn't get to see that one in person. Do you know if we have the link to that one available for these folks? Because we can link all the interviews that we have straight into the blog post so that anyone who's listening to this right now can just jump into our blog post and link directly to your talks.
Yes. Actually, yeah. So we do have the link for it, and we're going to leave it in the accompanying blog post.
Excellent. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your panel?
Yeah, so I was on a panel on the main stage. That was pretty cool because the main stage looked really awesome, and it was all shiny and looked like I was in a spaceship. But I was on a panel called The Future of Privacy, and aptly titled. And I was there with 3 other panelists, I believe. One of them was a lawyer who works in regulation, compliance for the blockchain space. Another was actually a regulator with the government of Canada. So that was really cool. And she was just really awesome. And we had another panelist as well. The questions from the moderator were actually very, very challenging. Typically, you get, in these kinds of panels, you get kind of platitudinous questions or questions that are, just like more intro level. Yeah. But it seems like they really wanted to broach like deeper topics about privacy and how we ought to think of privacy and, user data, user identity moving forward. And I was very impressed by those questions, but they were challenging. I remember at the beginning, they asked me a question about user identity versus persona, which is like a kind of very conceptual and nuanced question. And I was the first person to answer. So I fell back on my philosophical roots and kind of commented on that. But
yeah, that question was certainly unexpected.
Yeah, I didn't expect that at all. So that was definitely interesting. But what I really liked were the questions on blockchain, actually. Blockchains are immutable ledgers, essentially, and anything you put on the blockchain will stay there forever, at least for now, and at least on the Ethereum blockchain, assuming they don't implement rental fees or something like that. But in the meantime, anything you put on there stays on there forever. So a lot of the questions were, hey, how is blockchain supposed to jive with online privacy and user data? If you put user data on the blockchain, it's going to stay there forever. And some of the other panelists, I think, mentioned that it could be encrypted and it can only be accessed with a private key. And I remember answering that, even though that's true, it's kind of still a dangerous game, because if you have your private key compromised, then other people have access to your data and it's there forever. So I think that was a really good opportunity for me to basically come in with the answer that I did give, which was that Brave's perspective on this is that we should just not be putting user data in the cloud or on a server or on the blockchain at all. We should just keep user data on the user device, keep it local, right? And like, it's just a totally different way of thinking about the problem. And people were just like super receptive to that. One other thing, I remember they were talking about, what we are excited for moving forward with respect to privacy. And I was really excited, or I am really excited actually, about just the way we think about privacy moving forward. Bat and Brave have a really cool take on this. And the take essentially is that everything should be private by default. Right now we have a system where your data by default is kind of in the open, it gets tracked. And we're trying to change that. We're trying to say, hey, everything should be private by default. Everything should remain on the user's device. But if the user chooses to disclose, more things about themselves, they have the right to do so. Mm-hmm. So, and this is really important. And some people came up after to the booth and they said the example that I provided was very, very, helpful to them and super insightful. And the example I gave was the one of organ donorship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is something that we use in our pitches. There are some countries where, after you pass away, you can donate your organs to, for science or for medical purposes. And there are a lot of countries that have this as an opt-in feature on, for example, your Medicare card. There are some countries that actually opt you in by default, and then you have to opt out. And the rates of participation for organ donation, which is like a super noble cause, is so different. When you have an opt-in system, you get like 1-digit percentage participation. And when you have opt-out, you basically have like 90% plus participation, which is like, can really change people's lives and save people's lives and really advance science. So, it's huge. Anyway, that's kind of the same thing that Bat and Brave are doing with respect to privacy. It should be private by default. Yeah. And I think that's super valuable. Anyway.
As we know, it takes a conscious effort to opt out of something. But if you're opted in, you're most likely going to remain opted in. This is very important. And it's a concept that our CEO and founder, Brendan Eich, talks about all the time. If you guys follow him on Twitter, he always talks about default at scale. And that's what Brave is trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think Bat and Brave are really going to make a difference. And on the panel, I think, Bat and Brave, the idea, the concept really stood out and really resonated with people. As Jennie said, people were clapping and stuff. And they had seen so many panels that day. People are kind of tired, but we managed to really hook people in and their attention. So that was very, very reassuring and promising. And, that actually manifests itself in advertiser signups. So, there were a lot of advertisers who were interested in the Bat Brave platform after we spoke about it. And I think Jennie knows maybe a little more about that than I do.
Yeah, so I think Chris's panel definitely brought in a few leads, and just us speaking to passersby and us even approaching other booths ended up being really good for business, just in terms of getting signups for Brave ads. And yeah, I think overall the conference really paid off for us. It was a really pleasurable experience, and we are very happy that we had the opportunity to attend. And thank you, Untraceable, for having us.
Yeah, my experience there was just awesome. I really enjoyed it. Definitely one of my favorite conferences so far that I've been to. And the booth experience was really, really great. And I love doing the panel. I love doing the interviews. I just felt like it was a really great atmosphere. And the sentiment for Bat and Brave was just super positive. Mm-hmm. Like I remember, even at the Cabana pool bar after the main floor kind of shut down for the night, people were talking about how Bat and Brave was, one of the only real products in the blockchain space. And that made me feel really good because I'm so happy to be associated with a project that's actually shipping something that people can use, people can enjoy, and is actually changing people's lives.
One final thing I wanted to mention before we sign off is it was really a pleasure to meet a lot of folks from the community. There were people from Reddit, people I recognized from Telegram. As I said, we got to meet one of our regional leaders in real life who we largely correspond with online. So anyone and everyone who is listening to this and who came by the booth and chatted with us, thank you. It was so nice to meet you in person, and we're really happy that you see as much value in Bat and Brave as we do, and we are looking forward to riding this wave with you.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you so much for listening and joining us here on this chat where we covered our experiences at Futurist, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, see you next time. Thank you for listening. If you like these podcasts, be sure to follow or subscribe to stay up to date with the Bat community.